I want to thank you all for joining me today. The budget proposal we are releasing today includes a modest increase in the property tax level to sustain the essential services, programs, projects driving Rochester's growth, even as we confront double-digit cost increases. To be sure, these were not easy decisions. We're all aware of the economic headwinds our residents are facing, which is why we've done everything we can in our 4 previous budgets to hold the property tax levy flat, even cutting the tax rate by more than 37% 2 years ago. But now, as we confront unprecedented fiscal challenges, rising pension costs, healthcare, and utility costs, we must redouble our efforts to continue our drive of growth, increase investment, and put all of our residents on a path to economic mobility and generational wealth. We must still invest in our success to beget more success and control our destiny. The updated property tax levy would generate around $7 million in additional revenue. This would be the first property tax levy in almost 5 years. However, because the annual homestead to commercial rate tax shift cycle, the updated levy would hold homestead property tax flat with a slight decrease of about 25 cents per month. The same tax shift cycle generated a significant reduction in commercial property taxes in last year's budget, so the commercial increase in this year's budget works out to less than $30 a month for the typical business. To offset rising fuel costs and other increased expenses directly tied to critical operations, including refuse collections, water delivery, and code enforcement, the budget also calls for an increase in some parking fines and other fees and service charges. On top of that, this budget was drafted before the state budget was approved. As you may know, the state has not approved a budget yet this year, which adds uncertainty to our revenue projections from state aid. It includes an additional $20 million in state funding as part of the state legislator budget proposal. As you know, one house has proposed almost $40 million, another one $50 million. The governor's proposed around $15 million. So we are counting on our state legislative delegation to deliver for us. If those funds aren't included in the final state budget, we will face more difficult decisions ahead. So I am very proud of this budget. We are in the middle of an extremely volatile national and international economic cycle characterized by rising consumer prices, reduced earnings, and federal policies that are deterring private investment and job creation. For the city of Rochester, the impact of this turbulence means our largest revenue source are either flat or declining, while our non-discretionary expenses, including employee pensions, healthcare and utilities, and fuel costs are increasing by double digits. Nevertheless, the budget doesn't include any cuts to critical services and programs, and it continues to fund the strategic investments that are driving growth and putting our residents in a position to thrive in the 21st century economy. For public safety, these investments include funding for 2 police academy classes to fill historic vacancies in the Rochester Police Department, continuing the gun violence reduction strategies that are driving dramatic reductions in firearm violence from peak years of the pandemic, fully staffing the action team to provide direct outreach for unhoused populations, and expanding the person in crisis team by adding peer navigators to enhance our non-law enforcement response to 911 calls for mental health and behavioral health services. We're also doubling down on our investments in Rochester's youth. The budget includes operating funds for the new Maplewood Nature Center, and it expands employment and pre-employment opportunities for students in high school and junior high school. We're also providing training for the Recreation Bureau staff on how to support the socio-emotional health of our young people in our R centers. And we're going to launch the Our Future Fund to create savings accounts for incoming kindergartners that will build through high school, through their high school graduation. To drive prosperity, we're also going to accelerate the truly inspiring investments we're making in affordable housing, workforce housing, and home ownership, which already exceeds $2 billion. And we're also going to keep strengthening our neighborhoods with community building initiatives like Neighbors in Actions and the Eliminating Food Deserts through our Healthy Rock Grocer program. Combined with the investments outlined in our capital budget, we're also moving forward with the incredible physical transformation that's making our streets safer, improving our quality of life, and positioning Rochester as a national leader in the 21st century high-tech economy. These include investments in our Rock Vision Zero roadway safety program, Rock the Riverway, Bull's Head, Interloop North, and the projects outlined in the new Rochester-Monroe County Transformation Initiative, a partnership with Monroe County and New York State. I'm also proud of this budget because it reflects the dedication to public service exemplified by every day by our city's workforce. And it continues the commitment to our we, not me philosophy of collaboration across every sector of our community. I want to thank our City Council President, Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and Finance Committee Chair, Mitch Gruber, and all the members of City Council who provide the oversight that helps ensure these funds are used in the most effective and efficient manner. I also want to thank Governor Kathy Hochul and our representatives in the U.S. Congress and our state legislative delegation for their advocacy in Washington and Albany to ensure the needs of our people get the attention they deserve. Likewise, I'm grateful to County Executive Adam Bello and his team for continuing the strong collaboration between the county and city. I also want to thank our many partners from the Rochester's not-for-profit and human service sector, whose collaboration with my administration brings a multiplying effect on the work we do on behalf of the people of Rochester, especially our most vulnerable residents. Finally, I want to thank the citizens and business owners of Rochester who entrust us with the resources that are meticulously accounted for in this budget. We recognize the economic headwinds that we are facing. And we also recognize the economic headwinds they are facing, which is why we've done all we can to help them thrive in this economy while minimizing their own financial burdens. As I said in my State of the City address last month, the people of Rochester are resilient, robust, and ready to own their destiny. They're resilient, robust, and ready because over the past 4 years plus, we've successfully ushered in the Rochester way of working together like never before. The budget we are releasing today is our economic blueprint for the Rochester way. And I thank all of those who have worked on this, including our budget director, Suzanne Warren, and all of her team. Now I'd like to invite Budget Director Suzanne Warren to the podium to provide a more detailed look at how we drafted this budget and what it contains. Director Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. I probably don't have a lot of fancy pictures on my slides. Mine are the numbers. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. I wanted to start off by mentioning that this is the 26th budget for the City of Rochester that I have had the privilege of preparing. I've experienced many challenges over those 26 years, and this is definitely one that stands out from the rest. Before I get into the details of the budget, though, I would like to thank the Mayor for his support and patience during the budget process. I'd also like to thank the Deputy Mayor for his guidance and support. Thank you also to my senior management team colleagues who were tasked with a very challenging exercise this year and rose to the occasion. I have to say, my team and OMB can't be beat. Never underestimate the power of snacks, donuts, and Chipotle. We ended up down one staff member earlier in the year, and thanks to the incredible work ethic of my team, we were able to get it done. I'd like to recognize our Assistant Director, Sarah Boyce, and our dedicated team of analysts, Christina Heiligenthaler, Jordan Larkins, Emily Lohner, Sarah Ruckberg, and Josephus Tisdale. I want to remind everyone that you can access the 26-27 proposed budget on our website. This is our 4th year in OpenGov that we've prepared the budget. From there, you can access the budget in 2 different formats on our website, an online interactive version in OpenGov, as well as a searchable PDF document. We encourage you to use the OpenGov version, which has more functionality. It allows you to drill down to line item detail. The OpenGov version is also more accessible. It can be converted into different languages and includes an interactive map of investments in the Capital Improvement Program section. If you click on the button labeled Budget Documents and Archive on our budget homepage, you can access a quick video tutorial there as well on how to use OpenGov. Our 26-27 proposed budget calls for just under $706.8 million in spending, an increase of $22.1 million, or 3.2% more than the 25-26 amended budget of $684.7 million. This increase, as the mayor talked about, is largely driven by skyrocketing pension costs and two other factors also impacting our residents, and that's the cost of healthcare and heat, light, and power. It's killing us too. In addition, our revenues have been relatively flat, including sales tax. During times of inflation, there is little disposable income left over to spend on items that generate sales tax. Food and housing do not generate sales tax. I do fear I'm beginning to sound like a broken record over the years, but we have seen astronomical increases in pension and health care. We certainly don't have a revenue source capable of keeping up with these kinds of increases. Pension costs are up 57% over the past 5 years, and healthcare costs are up 42% over the past 5 years. You may not be able to see these charts well from across the room, but I think you can all agree that the trajectory of both of them do not look great. In order to offset some of these increases and maintain essential services, as the mayor talked about, we are proposing to raise the property tax levy by $7.5 million, which actually results in a little under $7.2 million additional revenue to us. For the typical homeowner with an assessed value of $145,000, this levy increase, combined with the impact of the tax shift and some growth in assessed values, will actually decrease the annual property tax burden for homeowners by $2.90. For the typical business, the increase to the levy and the tax shift results in a monthly increase of $64, but that is just coming off of a budget year where they saw a $34 monthly reduction. So it results in a net increase for them this year of $30 per month. We're not proposing any increase to the local works fund, the local works levy that covers street sweeping, hazardous sidewalk repair, and road and sidewalk plowing. We have sufficient reserves coupled with a lower number of plow runs this past winter that allows for this. Some people may not think we had lower plow runs, but we did. We did have a lot of snow. We are proposing a 3% increase to residential and commercial refuse rates to counteract the increasing rate of fuel we're all seeing and to be able to invest in new collection vehicles, thereby reducing our current maintenance costs. The typical homeowner will pay an additional $1 per month for that refuse increase. We are also proposing to increase user fees for water by 5% in order to continue replenishing reserves necessary for future capital investments and to maintain the high water quality that we've all become accustomed to. This results in an annual increase to the typical homeowner of $18.26 or $1.52 per month. So the typical homeowner is looking at about another $28 for the full year. Many of our permits and user fees have not changed in years. We do keep track of them, and we did ask departments and senior management team to undertake a thorough review of the time and effort to fulfill these requests and recommend adjustments accordingly. So you will see some fee increases in the budget. You can find those in the summary section, and we'll have details on those later on. As the mayor discussed, we are counting on the recurrence of the one-time temporary municipal assistance of $5 million, as the governor included in her executive budget, along with another $10 million she included after her initial budget release. Our fiscal challenges were just too great, so as the mayor mentioned, we assumed or are assuming another $20 million in unrestricted aid to avoid cuts in essential services. We are waiting for the state budget to be approved and hope to see that additional revenue in there. We started with a very large gap this year. It started at $108.2 million, and as we went through our maintenance of effort process, that gap grew to $131.3 million when we learned what would happen with our pension and healthcare costs. That is not an insignificant number. I will alert you that we will face a similar size shortfall next year if we do not receive new or recurring revenue to offset these escalating costs. We identified non-essential purchases and vacant positions earlier this year to minimize any layoffs or cuts that might result from trimming our budget to more accurately match recurring revenues. We have made the difficult choice to opt into the state program, which allows the city to amortize a portion of our pension bill. This will defer approximately $8.9 million in pension expense in order to preserve essential services. As the mayor mentioned, we were still able to make meaningful investments. You can find further information on how we closed our all funds gap in the summary section of our budget. A lot of times people count on, they look at the expense only, but the summary, there's nothing after the summary section if not for the summary. Our next steps will be a series of public hearings held by City Council on the proposed budget. Those dates are May 27th, 28th, and 29th. Each day of the hearings will be broken into sessions reviewing specific departments and chapters in the budget, which you can watch on City 12 TV, located on channel 1303, as well as on City Council's YouTube channel. I have the schedule by day and department if you would like a copy. A public hearing will then take place on the budget on June 11th, and City Council will ultimately vote on the budget on June 16th. Really want to thank you all for coming again this morning, and with that, I will now turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Give Suzanne a round of applause. Suzanne will be available after this to the media for anyone that has any in-depth questions that you may have. The one point I want to make is that this is a very difficult budget. This budget is, as I said, proposed, and we are hoping that the state will follow through on the commitments that were made in both either the Assembly bill or the Senate bill, and that's why we assume the $20 million that we're asking for additional from the state. If that does not materialize, there will be further changes that will have to take place in this budget. But I have confidence in our state delegation and our folks in the state that they will fight for Rochester as hard as they can to make sure that we get the additional revenue that we need and deserve. If we were getting what other cities got per capita, it would result in $33 million more from the state. So we are in serious need of this revenue from the state, and I hope that they will follow through once they pass the budget. As you know, a budget has not been passed in Albany. So I want to thank you all for coming. We look forward to the deliberation sessions, and any questions that you have related to the budget, you'll get a chance to ask them in depth to Suzanne Warren.